I think that there's nothing delights me more than getting out the front of an audience and hearing laughs.
And laugh we did through those Road 2 movies with Bing Crosby and Dorothy Lamour. And those TV specials, he did 300 of them. Bob Hope did everything in show business except maybe a high-wire circus act. Okay, he did that too. Bob did it all in show business. There was vaudeville, Broadway, radio, movies, and 35 years in television. And during all those years, Bob found time to write close to a dozen books, including this one, Bob Hope's Confessions of a Hooker, my lifelong love affair with golf. Golf and performing were his passions, but the #1 love of his life for more than 60 years was his wife, Dolores. Of course, he joked about everything, politics, his nose, his age.
You look just great.
Bob, you look great, too.
Well, I hope I look that good when I'm your age.
On stage and screen, he was funny. Everybody loved Bob, but he was especially loved and admired for what he did for his country. From World War II to Desert Storm, in war and in peace, anytime, every time U.S. GIs needed a lift, Bob Hope was there.
Guantanamo's a Navy term meaning I hear you knocking, but you can't come in. Hey, we're thrilled to be here at Osan Air Base, Korea. Osan, that's Korea for take it and stuff it. Happy to be here. I don't know where the hell we are, but I'm happy. We are Bien Hoa. That's Vietnamese for duck. Hi, Bob.
And when he wasn't doing USO shows and movies and TV specials and writing books, Bob often came back home to Cleveland, as he did for the city's 96th bicentennial.
And just to be in this vicinity with all my relatives and all my friends, I get a kick out of it.
All right, just to clarify, born in England, emigrating to Cleveland, Ohio at the age of 4, Bob Hope, dead at the age of 100. Our coverage will continue in just a moment right here on Fox.
More troubling news to report out of Iraq. Attacks on U.S. forces continuing today. At least 3 soldiers are wounded, although eyewitnesses say they saw the men killed after a grenade was dropped onto their Humvee. Saudi security forces launched a raid against wanted Muslim militants. 6 militants and 2 Saudi policemen were reportedly killed. It happened on a farm in northeastern Saudi Arabia. That raid coinciding with a crackdown on al-Qaeda elements in the Arab kingdom, the birthplace of Osama bin Laden. And the search has ended for missing Baylor University basketball player Patrick Dennehy. The Texas coroner confirming that remains found near Waco, Texas over the weekend are in fact Dennehy's. For a news conference that is going to be held by the family of Bob Hope, who died 2 months past his 100th birthday at his home in Toluca Lake, California. He was surrounded by his family. Bob Hope, one of America's most beloved and legendary entertainers. He performed for servicemen and presidents. Earlier today, I talked to Arnold Palmer about Hope's love of the game of golf. Here's part of that interview.
I think that if Bob were here and listening to all of this, he would want us all to laugh and enjoy what he has given the world over the years. I had a lot of fun with him. I enjoyed playing golf with him. I enjoyed some private moments with him. He was a man that spent his life trying to make people happy.
And he loved golf, didn't he?
He did. He had a lot to do with what I think the success of the PGA Tour has enjoyed over the last 50 years. And certainly Bob Hope made the entire world aware of the game of golf and certainly the entertainment industry.
You know, we were talking to his former head writer, Gene Parrott, a little while ago, and he said, you know, even beyond the USO tours, he was such a charitable man, and he had a hard time saying no when anybody called him and wanted to lend his name to a good cause. And the Bob Hope Classic has to be one of the most successful tournaments of its kind anywhere.
Well, that is very true, and of course that tournament became successful when Bob Hope lent his name to it, and it became the Bob Hope Desert Classic. That was one of the real shots in the arm for it, and of course, as you know now, it's one of the most popular events on the PGA Tour.
Could he be as funny in his private life as he was in front of all of us, his audience?
He was. He was very entertaining, and Bob Hope really never stopped entertaining or having people enjoy what he was doing. His quips, his one-liners were just wonderful, and his mood was always very, very good.
You know, he had a reputation for somebody who just was wonderful with his fans. You must have observed that in the time you spent with him.
Well, as you said earlier, he really never turned anyone down. He was one that he just wanted to do the things that people liked to see him do, and he liked to keep them laughing. He was very philanthropic and did things that were, I think, in the best interest of everyone laughing. And I suppose a little quip, I think Bob lived so long because he was a happy man doing what he liked to do.
Well, is that what you would say maybe was the secret of his success? We've talked so much this morning, Mr. Palmer, about the fact that he was a star at everything he ever attempted: vaudeville, radio, movies, television. As you watched him, not as a friend, but as a performer, why do you think he was so successful?
Well, you know, I just know that he was a guy that had fun doing what he was doing, and I recall talking to him about vaudeville, and when he was on vaudeville, and what he did there, and how much he enjoyed that. It was something, and of course, listening to him, I wish I could repeat the things that he told me about that, and that was way back in his early days.
You know, I used to, when people would watch the Christmas specials, and he did them for so many years, and it was such a highly anticipated event to watch that television show of when he would go and entertain the troops at Christmas time. And he always had the golf club in his hand. I don't think he would mind. How was his golf game, if you tell the truth?
Well, he at times played some very good golf. A friend of his was a guy by the name of Tony Penna, and when Tony wasn't helping him, why I helped him a little. But he hit the ball well. He had a kind of a casual golf swing, I would call it, one that he just afforded a long time of golf. And right up until a few years ago, he was out playing golf all the time, even when people thought he should not be. I remember he had a detached retina on his eye one time, and he was told not to play golf, but he went and played anyway, and of course the good news was that it didn't bother it too much.
No, one of the greatest sportsmen of all time, golfer Arnold Palmer, who was kind enough just a short time ago to share his memories of Bob Hope, who died in Toluca Lake, California at the age of 100.
And burning lips and burning toast and prunes. How lovely is love. Thanks for the memory.
Just one of the stars for Bob Hope over a course, a life of 100 years and a life in entertainment almost as long. Bob Hope probably got more of those stars than any entertainer in history, and all of them were well-deserved. A live report now from Fox's William Lajeunesse, not too far from where that star is. He's outside Bob Hope's home in Toluca Lake, California. Hi, William.
Well, David, indeed, this is a very exclusive area bordered by Burbank and North Hollywood, Toluca Lake. The area that I'm in right now has been cordoned off by police in about a 6-block area. The house that you see behind me does belong to Bob Hope. It's actually quite a large estate. It backs up to a country club, a lakeside country club, very popular celebrities where Bob Hope would jump out on the golf course frequently on mornings and so forth. He is survived by 2 sons, 2 daughters, and his wife Dolores of 69 years. Now, we have seen his son Kelly a moment ago entering the private drive that you see behind me, and we are expecting a statement by his daughter Linda in about an hour and 15 minutes. Bob Hope did die last night, as many know now, about 9:30 in this home. He's 100 years old. The family did release a statement earlier today saying, while we mourn the passing of such a wonderful and remarkable man, we ask that friends and family celebrate his life. And indeed, Ronald Reagan once said, where there is life, there is hope. His career spanned 3/4 of a century, starred in 50 movies, 1,000 radio broadcasts, 500 TV specials. many popular pictures with Bing Crosby. He is best known, perhaps, and revered at least, for entertaining U.S. troops abroad, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, Desert Storm. He was known as G.I. Bob. He helped establish the USO, and in '96 he had his last Christmas special, A Salute to the Presidents. Of course, you have those who remember, and he always a lot of musical skits, appearances by celebrities, cheerleaders, athletes, that kind of thing. He is perhaps the last man who will have spanned so many different mass media, from the stage, radio, movies, TV, books. His burial will be attended by family members only, we're told, David. An interment site will be announced later. There will be a private mass and then a more public one later in August, we are told. They say in lieu of flowers that money should be spent to the Bob and Dolores Memorial Foundation. We're still trying to find out, David, when exactly that mass will take place.
All right, William LaJeunesse, thanks very much. And we want to mention, by the way, that at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, it's only about an hour from now, we should be getting a press conference from perhaps some family members, but at least representatives of the family, just to let us all know how Bob Hope spent the last moments of his life. Bridget?
Born 29th, 1903 in England, the fifth of 7 sons of a British stonemason and a Welsh singer of light opera, so a little bit of showbiz in his blood.
And his grandfather lived to be 100 as well, or a couple of weeks shy of 100. So he comes from a good line of genes there. Yeah,
emigrated to Cleveland, Ohio when he was 4, and as we say, dabbled in all sorts. He sold newspapers, worked in a shoe store, a drugstore, a meat market, tried boxing, and then found his way to the stage, and the stage in so many different forms: vaudeville, radio, TV,
I love
movies.
his first appearance on vaudeville, third billing to Siamese twins and trained seals. What an inauspicious beginning.
So many great stories, and Bob Hope leaving behind so many memories. Whether he was performing for our troops overseas or entertaining us right in our own homes, we are all thankful to him. We'll have more coverage on his legacy coming up in a few moments, but first, Fox News would like to take a moment to say thank you to Bob Hope. Thanks for your memories.
Thanks from America to all our men in blue, our boys in khaki too, our tough Marines, our Coast Guard, our Army nurses true. We thank you so much. Thanks from America to all our men in blue, our boys in khaki too, our tough Marines, our Coast Guard, our Army nurses true. We thank you so much.
Thanks for the memory of rainy afternoons, swingy Harlem tunes, motor trips and burning lips and burning toast and prunes. Thank you